Today I'm going to be doing a Japanese style nine-tailed fox. So all the materials you need to do this drawing will be listed in the description box below. I'm just using a few reference pictures that I found on Google Images and Pinterest to kind of start outlining my fox with a HB pencil. So I'm going to start by drawing his head and drawing his mouth in an open position while drawing his nose in and then connecting his nose to his lips. You'll be able to see this a bit more clearly after I put black ink to the paper. It did take me a couple of tries to kind of try and get the position and the shape of the head correct, but I do think it turned out alright in the end. After drawing the head, I'm going to start drawing the ears, one on top of the head and one just below it, so that it looks like his head is tilted. After that, I started to draw the body. The body really, it doesn't really matter how it looks as it's going to evaporate into tails and smoke at the end, but I kind of tried to make like a slightly curved body at the bottom to represent the stomach and then a curved top as well. And then adding another line just to represent his underbelly and shading that in a darker colour, but that bit will be done later by Tombow fudanosuke. After that, I'm just going to add a few furry details, and I start to add the leg in at the top there as well. I start drawing the leg by drawing a round curved kind of top part, and then I take it down into like a more slender tip. As you can see, it does take me a couple of tries to get it right because I'm not very good with animal proportions. I actually rubbed out the leg at this point and I started to kind of draw in the first few wisps of smoke at the top, and now you can see me start to draw one of the legs in at the bottom again. This leg will be his dominant leg as it's the one that's furthest towards the end of the paper. So to do that, I literally just started with a thicker leg at the top and then kind of brought it down into a more slender part at the bottom, but then added his paw at the end. Next, I'm going to begin to draw in the second part of his body, his upper torso, so you can see me there adding a few fur lines in. When I'm drawing, I do tend to rub out a lot and go back to places and redraw them because I'm a bit of a perfectionist in that sense. I may add a reference picture of a fox in the description box if you want to have a look at that. Maybe if my drawing is confusing you a little bit. But everything should become a lot more clearer when I add a bit of ink onto the paper. I think next I'm going to draw like the fur underneath his chin along his body, and after that I'm going to start drawing the wisps of smoke, so you can see a round disc shape there, which is like one of the coils of smoke that he turns into. And at the bottom again there I'm starting to draw the leg again. The positioning and length of the leg is pretty important as it should be the same kind of length as the first leg, and there should be a third leg behind it and a fourth leg up at the top as well, but the third leg kind of translates into the wisp of smoke, and the fourth leg you'll be able to see at the top soon. Now I'm just going to draw the body again, the lower torso, and then you can see me start to add a bit of a leg in at the back there as well. And since this is going to be a nine-tailed fox from Japanese mythology, I am adding 9 wisps of smoke there at the end in a little bunch. And now with my Tombow fudanosuke, I'll just start by outlining the mouth and the nose and kind of drawing the top mouth line a little bit longer than the bottom mouth line to symbolise like where the mouth and the jaw join. It's important here to kind of grip your pen round the bottom so you have more control over the pen, as later on in the tutorial I'll be gripping it a bit further up the top to kind of draw a more wispy line, as I'll have less control over the pen, so that will create more of a abstract line. It's also really important to simulate the fur, and to do that I'm going to add a few kind of loose lines of hair that you can see there along the top of the head, and after that I'm just adding some black shadow to the ink that, or the smoke that it kind of turns into. I'm also going to colour in the underbelly black to represent the shadow. But at the moment I'm just kind of trying to add a few wisps to to the first reel of smoke or ink, however you want to represent the thing that the fox is going to fade into. When drawing the underbelly, it's important again to remember to add some fur lines. Adding some little short wispy lines at the bottom there will simulate the fur quite well. I think it gives it a fuzzy texture. And so far this inking has all been done with a fudanosuke soft tip, because I think that tip it's more flexible and it bends more, so I think it's better for this type of drawing. And then just starting to ink in the leg a bit there and adding some lines to the fur, to the top torso to simulate fur again. And then you can see me inking in the leg as well, making sure that you can see the muscle at the top of the leg, kind of within the body of the fox as well. I keep calling him a wolf, but he's a fox, not a wolf, a nine-tailed fox. Let me know if you know any mythology about the nine-tailed fox from Japanese mythology. He's also mentioned in a really good anime called Naruto as well, but in a different kind of setting, in a completely different way. In Japanese mythology, foxes tend to be quite cunning and they're really revered, I think. Oh, and now I'm just going to add in one of the back legs, and then using my long Tombow brush pen, I'm going to add in a few wisps of smoke. I'm pressing on quite hard here to make the wisps a bit thicker, and I try to thin them out a little bit at the bottom and make them a bit thicker at the top, as I think that simulates the smoke quite nicely. As you can see, I've also added a bit of a ground there as well. I've kind of made the ground splash up a bit at its dominant leg. And then at the top of the page, I'm just going to add a bit of a tail just above the wisps to kind of add a bit of body to the wisps. And then I'm just going to shade in the top of the tail a little bit to add a bit of shadow, adding a few fur lines again, and adding a few more bits of smoke or ink, or however you want to kind of represent whatever I'm drawing or whatever you're drawing. And now I've got my fudanosuke soft tip again, just adding those few minute details into the smoke or ink or the body of the fox to simulate more fur. Doing this, I think, adds a bit more detail and dimension into the drawing. And after that, I'm just going to add a bit of a background as well. I'm going to do some little round kind of curvy patterns around the edge. It's quite simple to do. They look like just like little waves or little mountains or hills that are on a side. I don't know if you can see it, but I've also added in a few gold embellishments there as well. After that, I just penciled in the kanji for nine-tailed fox. I think the Japanese for it is Kyubi no Kitsune. I hope the kanji is right, but you can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. For the gold details, I literally just added a few gold kind of pen strokes into the wisp. So I kind of coloured the eye in gold and coloured the mouth in gold as well, just to add to the drawing a little bit. And drum roll, please. And here is the finished piece, so let me know what you think in the comments, and if you've recreated it, be sure to drop a picture. And thanks for watching, see you next time.